Hello friends, welcome to our channel. In today's episode, we will explore the most mysterious incident in U.S. aviation history. The protagonist of this 1971 incident is still missing. On November 24, 1971, a man identifying himself as Dan Cooper bought a ticket for the Portland-Seattle flight of Pacific Northwest Airlines. Flight 305 was scheduled to last 35 minutes. One-third of the plane was full. After boarding, Dan Cooper sat in a seat number 18C. He then smoked a cigarette and asked for a drink. Drawing attention with his calm demeanor, the man paid for everything he ordered. Boeing 727 took off at 2:50. Shortly after the takeoff, an interesting development took place. Cooper called the stewardess to him and handed her a note. The stewardess, Florence Schaffner, did not pay much attention to the note and put it in her pocket without looking at it, assuming that one of the passengers must have dropped it. Just as she was getting ready to leave, Cooper grabbed the stewardess by the hand and said, "Ma'am, you better read that note. I have a bomb with me." Cooper then told stewardess Schaffner to sit by his side. As soon as the stewardess sat down, Cooper immediately opened a bag next to him and showed her the bomb. There was indeed a bomb inside the bag. The stewardess did everything Cooper told her to do, and the note Cooper had given her contained his demands. The note read, "I have a bomb with me. If my demands are not met, I will detonate it." Cooper had two requests. First, $200,000 US, including a stack of $20,000 bills. The second demand was for 4 parachutes. The stewardess immediately reported the situation to the pilots in charge. After pilot William Scott learned about the situation, he contacted the Seattle Traffic Control Tower. Meanwhile, 36 other passengers on board were informed that the arrival in Seattle would be slightly delayed due to a technical problem. Pilot William Scott first contacted the FBI and then the former head of Northwest Airlines, Donald Nyrup. After the meeting, it was decided to execute everything that the hijacker Cooper demanded. Donald Nyrup said that the ransom and the parachute should be provided immediately, and the flight crew should do everything Cooper asked. The plane flew over the Puget Sound for nearly 2 hours to mobilize emergency personnel and prepare for the operation. As the plane flew over Tacoma, Cooper said, "We are now in Tacoma, which is about 20 minutes from the airport." Apparently, Cooper had thought of every detail and had a professional plan. Shortly afterward, FBI agents prepared 10,000 serialized $20 bills. Most of the dollars were from the 1963A series, beginning with the letter L, and all of the dollars were taken from a bank in the Seattle area. Then 4 parachutes were purchased from a parachute training school in the Seattle area, and Cooper had everything he needed. Shortly thereafter, at 5:24 a.m., the plane landed at Seattle-Tacoma Airport. Cooper allowed all 36 passengers to disembark shortly after landing. After the passengers disembarked, Cooper ordered all windows on the plane to be covered to prevent snipers. The airport operations manager went to the stairs at the aft of the plane and handed the bag containing $200,000 and the parachutes to cabin attendant Tina McClough, who promptly took the money to Cooper. The flight attendants immediately left the plane, leaving 4 people on board, 2 pilots, 1 aircraft engineer, and cabin attendant Tina McClough. During refueling, Cooper came into the cockpit and told the pilots to fly nonstop to Mexico City at an altitude of at least 10,000 feet and a speed of 100 knots. The second pilot said that was not possible. They could fly at most 1,000 miles. Cooper and the flight crew started to discuss this issue and finally agreed to land and refuel at an airport in Nevada. The plane took off again with Cooper and the 4 crew members on board at 7:40 a.m. 2 F-106s that were on standby at the time also took off with the plane. One of the F-106s started flying above and one under the Boeing 727. In total, 5 planes began along with Boeing 727 that Cooper had hijacked. Cooper, who soon realized the situation, told the planes to move away, otherwise he would detonate the bomb. The police had no choice but to comply with Cooper's request. Shortly after takeoff, Cooper asked everyone to stay in the cockpit and lock the door. Just 20 minutes after takeoff, McClough saw Cooper tie something around his waist. At 8:13 a.m., a warning tone sounded indicating that the airbag system on the plane had been activated and the lights started flashing. Meanwhile, the crew contacted Cooper and demanded to know the situation, but Cooper persistently refused. After 1 to 2 minutes, they received a warning that the air pressure of the plane had changed, meaning that the passenger door had been opened. Then it was determined that the tail of the plane was moving upwards with a sudden acceleration. For a long time, the pilots had difficulty in controlling the plane. The difficult flight lasted about 2 hours, and after 2 hours, the Boeing 727 landed at Reno Airport in Nevada. When the flight crew emerged from the cockpit, Cooper was not on board. Cooper had disappeared with $200,000. That would amount to about $1,250,000 today. The FBI entered the plane after the incident and found 2 of the 4 parachutes on board. Local police and the FBI first questioned everyone who had been in contact with Cooper, then expanded the scope of interrogation. After detailed investigations, experts determined that Cooper could have parachuted down most probability at 8:13. In other words, according to experts, Cooper parachuted down while the plane was over the Lewis River. There was a heavy rainstorm at the time Cooper jumped, and under normal circumstances, the chances of Cooper surviving after such a jump are 0. There was an artificial lake, Lake Merwin, in the area where he jumped, and that's where the search began in the first place. Farms in the area were searched one by one. South and north of the river, mountainous areas, nearby states and terrain were scoured both from the ground and from the air by helicopter, but not a single trace of Cooper was found. A simulation was then used to show what might have happened on the day of the incident, but the fluctuating speed of the plane made it difficult to determine the precise search area. The clouds and darkness on that day, coupled with the fact that Cooper was wearing a black suit, made it impossible to pinpoint the moment he jumped. In the following days, the criminal record of a man named Dan Cooper, who lives in Oregon, was accessed, but it soon became clear that he had nothing to do with the incident. The FBI first distributed the serial numbers of the dollars to casinos, financial institutions, and anywhere money flowed. Then the serial numbers were published in the newspaper, and it was announced that the first citizen to report the case would receive $1,000, except for the $5,800 found by a child on the riverbank. None of the dollars delivered to Cooper were ever found. The only evidence found after the incident was this money. No other evidence or clues were ever found. At a press conference about the Dan Cooper incident, the hijacker was mistakenly called D.B. Cooper, and the protagonist became known as D.B. Cooper. Cooper was in his 40s, about 6 feet tall, wore a black suit and black glasses. According to the crew on board, Cooper was very kind and polite. Cooper seemed very calm. He was never ruthless, said Tina McClough, another cabin crew member. Cooper opened the back door of the Boeing 727 and jumped out and was never found. After this incident, a system was built into the rear doors of airplanes to prevent them from opening in midair. The design was named after Cooper. Following the incident, Cooper became a hero for many Americans. 4 books have been written about him. Movies have been made, and tens of TV series have made references to him.